Hello everyone and welcome to another AWS video. Today we are going to look at AWS IAM roles. We looked at users, groups and policies in our last video. So this is a continuation of the last video. If you want to watch the last video, then click on the card icon above or check the video description below. So what is IAM role? It's an identity you can create in AWS IAM that has a specific permission. It is similar to IAM users we described in our last video, in that it is an AWS identity with permission policies that determine what the identity can and cannot do in AWS. The difference is that instead of being associated with a person, a role is intended to be assumed by anyone. Another key point is that roles are temporary. It doesn't have standard long-term credentials such as password or access keys. Instead, when you assume a role, it provides you with temporary security credentials for your role session. So in essence, role can be assumed by users, applications, or services that do not normally have access to an AWS resource. All right. So now we are in the console. What we're going to do is to create a role, and with this role, we're going to assign a role to an EC2. So that role, which will be for an S3 full admin access, will be assigned to the EC2. So anyone who log into the EC2 will be able to assume this S3 full admin role. So let's get started. So to start this, let's go to services, and then we need to look for IAM. If you've already visited IAM recently, then you should see it in the recent visited session. If not, you can simply type in IAM, or under services, we should be able to locate this under security, identity and compliance. So once you click on that and scroll to the bottom, you should find IAM. So let's click on IAM, and in IAM dashboard on the left side, we can select roles, and in the middle you see the roles that we've created already. So to create a new one, you simply need to click on create role, and you should see this the trusted entities. So with these types of entities, these are the various type of roles you can actually create. The first one is the AWS service. That means you can allow an AWS service like EC2 Lambda to have that specific role, or you can even use account, web identity, or XAML, custom trust policy as well. So for this video, we're going to use the AWS services. So we'll leave this option checked, and when you scroll down, you see the common use. So as part of the common use, you notice that EC2 is part of the ones that are commonly used, and also Lambda as well. But if you want, you can also use this option here to select the one you're looking for. But as I said, for this video, we're going to focus on EC2 service. So just select the EC2 and then click on next. And in this session, this is where we create our policies. So the ones with the box icon here are one that default created by AWS, and the one without any box are the ones I've created my own. So these are customer created policies. So for this video, I'll stick to one of the custom ones by AWS. So I'll just type in S3 and click enter, and I'll use the AWS S3 full access. I'll select that, and then I'll scroll to the bottom and click on next, and I'll give the policy a name. So I'm just going to name this one Kofi S3 admin role. Okay, so that's about it. So once you set the name, all you need to do is just click on create a role. And once the role is created, we will create an EC2 and we will assign the role to the EC2. Right, so the role has been successfully been created. So let's jump to the EC2 instance. So let's just type in EC2 and select the EC2. Okay, so the EC2 session, let's launch a new instance. So I'll click on launch instance, and then I'll click on the launch. I'll give this the name as Kofi server 1, and in terms of the images, I'll use Ubuntu, and I'll keep the settings as it is. I'm not going to make any changes here. I'll use the T2 micro, which is fine. And if you scroll further down, we can set up our key pair. So we use that one to log in. So I'll create a new key pair. Let me see what I have, but let me create a new key pair. I'll name this one as Kofi key. So you can name this one any way you want it. All right, so I'm just going to name this Kofi key for mine, and just click on create key pair, and it should download this into my download folder, so I can navigate to the download folder once I load up the terminal to access my EC2 instance. All right, so to do this, let's scroll to the bottom and let's check to ensure that SSH is enabled. Yep, SSH is enabled for everything. And let's click on advanced set details. And in advanced details, we're going to set up the IAM instant profile. So this is where we will add the role. So this is the important part. So as you can see, the role I created is showing up here. So I need to select that role and then scroll down and click on launch instance. So that's about it. So this will go ahead and create an instance. So the instance has been created successfully. So let's jump onto the instance dashboard. So this is the server I just created, the EC2 instance, the Kofi server 1, and as you can see, it's still pending setup. So I'll take this opportunity while this one is setting up to show you, in the case that you did not add a role, or you have an existing instance that you want to add a role to it, you simply select the specific instance, and then you can select an actions, and under security you can modify the IAM role, and then you can add the role to it. So if you already have an instance, that's the way you do it. Right, so the instance is running now, so we can access that instance now. So let me get the IP address of this instance. So I'm just going to grab this public IP address for my instance. I'll just copy it, Control-C to copy, and I'll open up a terminal. And let me SSH into my instance. But before I do that, I need to navigate to my download folder. That's where I have my key pair. So to do this, let me just cd into download, and then I'll SSH into it. I'll use -L, and the username is Ubuntu, but let me quickly show you that. So once you create an instance, the easy way to find the name of the instance is when you click on connect. So I'm just quickly going to click on connect, and once you click on connect, you should see the username. So as you can see, that's the username there. And if you don't know how to run a command, you can even go to the SSH client here, and you can literally copy this command and run it in your terminal. But I'm just going to type that in. So the username is Ubuntu, and I got the IP address. I'll paste the IP address in, and -I, and then I can now type in my key pair. Then I'll press enter, then type in yes. There you go. So now I'm connected to my instance. So what I'm going to do is, let me clear the screen just to keep it simple, and I will sudo to get the privilege the root privilege. So once in the root privilege, let me install an update before we carry on. So let's do this. So I'll type in apt get update. So after the update, I will also run AWS config. If you've worked with AWS command, you'll know that for you to run the commands, you need the AWS config. So after this, just simply type in AWS config, AWS configure, and then you press enter. Okay, so it's asking me to install the AWS CLI. So let's just do that. So let's type in apt install AWS CLI, enter, and then press Enter Y. So the AWS CLI is installed successfully. So that's all we need. We don't really need an AWS configure since we're going to use to assume a role. So what we need to do now is that we should now be able to access our S3. So let's check that. So AWS S3, let's try S3 and then list. And there you go. So as you can see, you can now list my S3 bucket that I have. It can also equally create a new bucket. So let's do that. So I've just cleared the screen. I'm just going to now create a bucket. So to do that is quite easy. You just have to type in AWS S3 and MB for make bucket, and we need to specify the target. So for this instance, we'll make this one a target as S3 with colon and then the bucket name. So for this, our name is a Kofi bucket, and our name is 444. Press enter. There you go. So now that is created. So let me simply list the buckets again, S3 and then ls, and now you can see that the newly created bucket is also listed here. Now what we can do is we can move items from this EC2 to the newly created bucket as well if you want to. To do that is simple. So I'm just going to create a file using attach, and I'll name this file as Kofi file.text. So I've created a file here, but before I do so, let's quickly jump onto the GUI, the AWS GUI, just to make sure that that bucket was created successfully. So if you go to here and then we type in S3, going to S3, and you can see the list of bucket. We have the Kofi bucket 4444 as well. We can simply click on that, and as you can see, currently there is no object in this bucket. So to upload a file to it, we can obviously upload directly from here, but let's use the CLI, because in a normal real world experience, you more likely have a computer that you want to upload it on from. So what you do is, right, you log into the system and then you use the AWS S3 command here to upload the file. So I'm just going to simulate that event. So now I've created a file with a attach command. If I type in ls, we should see the new file created here. So what we can do to proceed is that we can simply, let's first of all write to the file just to make sure there's something in the file. So I'll use the echo command to write to this file. So I'm just going to type in echo, and then I'll pipe it to echo. I'll type in hello world, and I'll pipe this one to the Kofi file. So now if I cat to this file, we should have the hello world. Now let's move this file to our bucket. All right, so to do this, let's type in AWS and then S3. And in this case, we are going to copy this file. So we use the CP to copy the file and then we set the location where the file is going to. So this instance will be the S3 and then colon and then Kofi bucket, and it's 4444, and then press I'm sorry, we missed out the file name, so let's go back and we're going to copy the file. So we have to specify Kofi file, the file name, which is Kofi file.txt, and then the destination, which is the S3 colon Kofi bucket 4444, and then you press enter. And it shows that the upload is done successfully. So now to view the upload, let's jump on to our interface and just refresh this page. And as you can see, the new file is created successfully. And equally, we can remove the file if you want to as well, directly from the backend. So at the end of the day, the key point is that with the role, we are able to assume this role whereby we can administer our S3, provided that the role have those permissions. So anytime you assume a role, that will be the possibility that you get, and you can really do more in terms of the role. Right, so thank you for joining, and I hope this video helped you out in knowing how to use role and also understanding role assignment. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, just feel free to drop your questions in a comment section below. And as always, if you have not subscribed to the video or you're not subscribed to our channel, do well to subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.